Okay, so to start off, the things that we're going to cover in this video are: one, we're going to talk about how to rig with gradients in Blender. Two, we're going to talk about how to transfer weights from one already rigged object to another quickly, easily, painlessly, 2 clicks and you're done, sort of thing. And last, we're going to talk about the actual avatar with Avastar. I know that's a little bit confusion on how to actually get the breast big enough so that you can, if you're making hair, to create hair that can go over the mesh brush for Lola's. I'm going to teach you how to edit the shape and whatnot. Also, with that, I'm going to show you how I personally export the Avastar shape into the program that I use primarily for modeling, and how I also export the breast version of it. There's a couple different things. It depends on what program you use. The program I use, it works fine. Others, it might not. So you want to test this and see if it works for you. Okay, so before we get into any of those points, I do want to bring up something that is pretty important when it comes to this. The one thing I found when it comes to rigging hair, especially with something like Avastar, which I don't know if it's 100% true, but I do believe that the Avastar Avi isn't the default Ruth Avi or even the default Second Life standard Avis. The shape of the head and just the body in general is very different than the Ruths that I have and that I used to use for modeling. So I found when I first made a hair that when I tried to put it onto the Avastar Avi and tried to place it correctly, when I went to Second Life and I actually put the hair on my actual avatar, it was sort of not positioned correctly and I didn't have time to fix it and it was a mess. So I learned from that what I did afterwards was to export this actual mesh shape here into my main program that I use for modeling, and I model on that now. After I learned about how to actually edit the avatar here itself with Avastar, it's a little bit easier because now I can actually just put in a default standard size avatar and model on that. I usually modeled on an extra small or an XX small, or just the Ruth in general, just because it had the most sort of common head shape for hair. So with that being said, keep in mind whatever model that you're modeling on should be the Ruth, or should be just like the avatar that you're using in Avastar. So if it's a custom shape that you've exported or it's one of the standard shapes, just make sure, because it makes it 10 times easier when you come in and you take your mesh and you put it onto the avatar here to rig everything and to line everything up correctly. Because it can be a pain, especially with some hairs or items that are on the forehead or somewhere where typically people might have the most difference. I know that any kind of hair that has really high hairlines, a lot of people have different shapes to their head, so it might not fit correctly or whatnot. So you don't want to be modeling on the wrong shape, different than the one that you're going to be rigging on. It's just a mess. So that's out of the way. It plays into the whole idea later. So once you have your item in Blender, mine is blue because I just turned the color on the material blue. You're going to want to rig it, of course. So typically what I do is I go into front view once it's all placed and nice and dandy, and I have a couple versions of this hair actually visible. Where is it? Okay. So this is just the default avatar. I don't like who that is. Okay. So what you're going to do from here is pretty simple. Once you already have, well, let's see which one. Okay, we'll do this because this is the easiest part to see. Come on. There you go. Okay. So you're going to grab whatever item it is that you want to rig. And you're going to right click it, make sure that you're in weight paint mode. As you can see, there's already some weight paint going on here. And what I found when doing this, why is it? It's really, really laggy, sorry. Okay. What I found when doing this, let me decrease this size because it's way too big. What I found when doing this is that there's two different ways that you can do the gradient method, which is what I'm going to teach you on how to rig. You can do the shortcut key, or you can physically click weight gradient, which is here on the side. So there's two things first. You want to make sure that whatever the object is that you're going to rig, that you've already parented to the amateur through Avastar, the one-step click button, which this already is. And then the second step is you want to completely erase all the pre-existing weight painting that's already been done on the object. The reason for this is because with gradients, the point is not to need to go in and have to blend things or paint more on or whatnot. The point is to have very smooth, soft gradation. And going in and blending or blurring, whatnot, ruins that super soft, really smooth fading in and out of weights. So you want to completely eliminate any areas that have lots of rigging. So typically I'll just go in, oh that was the wrong button. I'll go in and we're just going to delete all this here on the head, and then we'll also do the same on the chest bone. So we'll click back on to the head bone. And so then we'll go to add, and I found with gradients it's the exact same thing as the brush. Basically it's just a complete smooth controlled line of weight painting. It's exactly, if you've ever used the weight painting in Photoshop, it's the exact, not weight painting, the gradient tool in Photoshop, it's the exact same concept. So you're going to lower the radius to about 80, 90, 100, let's do like 50, okay. And then there's a shortcut key, or there's the actual clicking of this button, which clicking of the button gives you a different option than the shortcut key. If you do the shortcut key, it is Alt, click, drag. As you can see, mine is lagging a lot because I'm recording and the computer does not like that. But yeah, as you can see, it's a very, very, very pretty gradient. So undo that, and now we're going to click weight gradient, and now you have a little cross symbol here, and you do the exact same. This gives you a lot more control, I think. And you just drag. And you can do the same thing. You have to click on it every time though. And you can do as much as you need or as little as you need. You can do it at an angle, what have you. So it's all up to you. So this can take a little bit of time to get used to figure out what gradation is the best. If we increase the strength, you'll see what it does. It makes it super, super strength. If we decrease the strength, let's erase this, guys, really quick. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay. And then we do the weight gradient. There's almost none, so we'll increase it so you can actually see it. There you go. You see how light it is? So then you have the control of going in and doing multiple layers and getting the weight that you want, just like with the brush. But this is a completely controlled, even application. So then for that, typically what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll rig the head first, and then I'll rig the chest. And how I rig the chest, and every bone under the chest depending on how long the hair is. After that is I'll start from the bottom up, and I'll keep it about halfway, a little bit more. I don't tend to go very high because I like it being blue and green versus being yellow and red, because that is, when it's red, that means it's not going to budge at all unless that specific bone moves, and it doesn't bring the softest, smoothest sort of rigging. You can always, make it super light, and you can always add more and more, make it green, make it almost yellow, make it red. But it's really difficult with this to sort of eliminate the color, to make it lighter. It's easier to make it darker and more red. It's really hard to make it lighter and almost completely gone. So that's the one thing. So that's why I always start from the bottom like this with all of them, because let me show you exactly what I mean. I can then go here, and as you can see, there's a really pretty gradation here. I'm gonna stop right about there. And now there's all this area here that be affected by the chest. What I can do now is I can go with the subtract one, and I can do the same thing. That's a lot. Oops. Oh, Blender crashed. 1 second. Okay, we're back. So I just opened up the file that I had before. So now you can see when I click on the areas, there is a really pretty smooth gradation between each bone. This one has a really massive one here. The rigging on this one I didn't like so much, this hair that I did, the Sailor Moon themed hair, just because I was rushing it. Oh, I just noticed that there is a mistake here. This is an old file though. This wasn't the end file. So I didn't really like it too much now that I look at it, because here this is a really pretty gradation. This is really, really a lot of control, and then it decreases. However, here on the chest I was looking at just now, there's almost, it should have been a lot smoother and a lot more blue and more even, and I feel like it would have, see that? You don't want that. You want it to be smooth and welcoming and nice, like when you do this. Now, this is an issue that I see a lot with hairs, and this is just because there's not enough segments. If there was about double the segments just on this part, it would be smooth, like right here. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright, so now that you know how to do this, say we want to copy weights to something else. Let me find it. Okay, so I have something called pigtail alphas, and this is basically just a layer where I would put alpha layers on, and I want to transfer the weights of this guy, which is Sweep Nerbs 9, which is, let's rename this to pigtails. Okay, so that makes it a little bit easier for us to find. So you fixed your, your rigging here, and you're all happy and content, and yay, happiness. And then you realize, oh, I have to do another copy of it for the alpha layers, and your heart sinks and you cry because you don't want to re-rig the whole thing, and how is it going to be perfect and nice? Calm down, it's okay, you're fine, it's good. You're just going to need to copy or transfer the weights. Now, the way to do this is very simple. You just have to remember this. The first item that you're going to click, the first object, is the object in which that already I can't speak, I'm sorry. The first item that you click is the one that's going to have the set of weights you wish to transfer to the other item. So, first one has the weights that you want to copy. The second one is going to be the one that doesn't have the copy on it yet. So sort of like you take a piece of paper, you take paint, and you draw a smiley face on it. You take a second sheet of paper, and you want to transfer that smiley face onto the other sheet of paper. So you're going to take the first sheet, which has the smiley face already on it, take the second sheet, and sandwich it on top of it, and then pull it off, and voila, 2 exact copies. Same thing It's just knowing the order. The reason I say this, and I'm trying to make it as clear and sort of important, is because I messed up many times and ruined hours of work of testing and rigging and placement and all this because I did the order wrong. And I had to undo, and I was too late because it was just a mess. This hair took me forever to rig, and it was just a mess. So that's in my head forever. So that's the reason I'm really, wanting you to make sure you put it in the right order, because you're going to kick yourself later when you put the wrong weights on the wrong thing and you're going to cry. It's just not worth it. So the first thing we're going to click here is pigtails, which is the one we already have rigged. And then we're going to go and click on pigtail alphas. And for this to work, you need to make sure that both items that you have clicked are visible. So what you need to do next is then go into weight paint mode once the second item is selected. So both items are selected, but the last one you clicked is now in weight paint mode. And as you can see, it turned blue here. So what you're going to do now is very simple. Once the weight paint mode brush options pop up, you're just going to scroll down here to transfer weights, and you're literally just going to click this, and you are done. That's it. It's literally, I'd say 3 clicks, because you have to click the first one, the second one, and then go to 4 clicks if we're really technical about it, but it's really simple. So that's all you do, and the weights are the same. You can test here, move all the bones, fantastic, as you can see. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Is my voice okay? My voice is recording. I almost had a momentary panic attack because I thought my voice wasn't recording. Okay, so now that we got that, those 2 things are done. You right click one of them, go into object mode to export them just like normal, blah blah blah. You know all that if you've used Avastar before. So now what we're going to talk about is the actual avatar itself and modifying it and changing the shape. So first I'm going to show you how to edit the default shape here, and then I'm going to teach you how to import your own shape. Alright, so now that we are here, okay, I'm a little bit tired. What we're going to do is we're going to edit this shape. We're going to increase the breast so that if you're making hair and you are making a hair that has strands in the front and you want to provide a version of your hair for women who have mesh breast or just like to make their avatar have really big breasts in Second Life, or they use prim breast or what have you. This is what we're going to do. We're going to edit the shape of the avatar with Avastar. And I'm going to link in below in the description the actual official Avastar tutorial for this, because they go into a couple other details that you would need as well. Alright, so it's really simple to edit this shape and to import your own and to export and all this kind of stuff. So what you're going to do is you're going to be clicking on the aperture, I don't know how to pronounce this at all. The skeleton, and you're going to want to be in object mode, so it's going to be orange. And it doesn't really matter if you move the camera around, you zoom in if you're in perspective or not. And there's, depending on how you have your setup, you might need to go here and open up a new window and go to properties. Once you're in properties, which is normally default over here as well, you're going to click on the orange little square here. So we're going to click on it over here, and here we're going to go back to 3D view. Alright, so once you have that clicked, we're going to expand this a bit, and you've clicked on the little orange avatar here, a little square here. You're going to scroll down until you see something called avatar shape. And you're going to click load, shape editor. It might take a second to pop up. And now you're going to get all these different options. You can close everything else around it. You don't need that really right now. Once you have this, this is basically where you can load a shape. You can make a shape and then you can save it as a file and you can export it. And I'm not sure if you can import it into Second Life or InWorld or whatever, program or game that you're playing. But I know that you can export the file shapes from Second Life from any shape. So now that we have that out of the way, what you're going to do then is, depending on if you've already imported your own shape or you've already made a shape or whatnot, if you want to edit this, all you're going to do is go down to where it says sections and you're going to click what section you want to edit. Since we're doing the breast for this, we're going to click on torso, and just like the Second Life controls, we're going to affect the breast. So you can increase it to 100, which is what you want to do. And you can make the buoyancy higher if you want. It's not necessary. Spread, however you want. The point is, we want the breasts as big as possible as we can get them, because this gives us a sort of idea of where the mesh Lola breasts would be on the avatar. So when we go to model now, we can model around these. Now if you're someone who does not model inside of Blender but just uses Avatar to rig, in a little bit, I'm going to show you how I export and how I break apart the avatar in my program to do what I need. But if you're someone who models in Avastar, who makes hair in Blender, you don't really need to worry about exporting the shape. All I would do though is save shape to and save it to a file, so that later when you go to model the hair, you can model it on the normal Avastar shape. And then you can import the big breast version, so you don't have to remake it every time. So you would just load shape. So I'm just going to show you how I load a shape really quick. So you just click load shape, and my shape document is in desktop. Nami Niyako should be over here. Excuse me. Nami Niyako S000000 XML. And then you're just going to load this. And this is one of my shapes. And I can go in here and I can edit the muscle, make her more beefy. That's terrifying. Reduce it, whatnot. So if you have a specific shape, or somebody wants something custom made, or if you want to build something for yourself, you have a shape to go off of. It's pretty simple, it's pretty easy. At the current time, I do not know how to revert back to the default shape, other than, undoing it. But yeah. Okay. So, now that we know that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually export it. So, typically what I do is I just make a new scene. This is a new scene. I'm pretending it's a new scene. Let us actually delete the hair things here, because these are not, we don't want these. Why is it not? There we go. Oh, I did something, guys. Did not mean to do. Okay, let's actually... Okay, you get to see all the hairs. Excuse me while I'm boring and I click on things to delete. anything else? Yes, there's these ones. Okay, okay, we're good. Should be last one. Alright, so everything listed here is what is going to end up being exported. So we're just going to export this really quick, and I'm just going to do it as an object file. And we're going to name this Avstar export Avi, just so that I know where it is. And that's, we're good. Object. Alright, so we're going to do this on the desktop so that I know where it is. Excuse me. Export object file. Okay, so that didn't work. So if that doesn't work, what I typically did was then I would export it as a DAE. Sorry, I forgot how I did this. I did it months and months ago. So then we're just going to save to the desktop. I'm saving it as hair testing. Alright, so once we've done that, I go into my program, which is Cinema 4D here. Looks different. And then I just open it, which is going to be on the desktop. And it should be the last file. Yeah, okay. And then I import it. And as you can see, I have a bunch of stuff here. Let me close Blender because it's being a little bit laggy. Alright. Yeah, it's a little better. Alright. So I'm still lagging because I'm recording. But this has all the bones in Second Life. And we really just want the mesh, right? So what I just do is I just delete the bones, and I don't need the bones. And I delete all these tags that I don't need because oh god. In C4D I don't need these tags. Alright. So now I just have a 3-part mesh. The head, the lower body, and the upper body. Now I can just remove all this. So now I just have the Avstar Avi here, and I am free to model on this, and this is what I typically model on. Now, what I normally do when I made the big breast version was I did the exact same thing, except I only clicked on the torso part. Let me show you a file. This is the hair that I was working on recently, and I was modeling her. And when I finished modeling her, which this is, please show. This is, I believe this, no, it's not the finished model, to fix that strand. This is almost the finished model. So after that, I had originally finished modeling it. I took that torso shape and I placed it right over the other torso of the avatar. And as you can see here, I have a bunch of other stuff, but this is, like the eyeballs and the eyelashes and stuff, because this is an old Avi that I exported. So then I could make the hair around the breast now. So the trick is to figuring out what parts of the avatar that you can click in Blender and export, what parts that you care about, save it as an object file, save it as a DA file, export it through Avstar, through their exporting button. I'm not exactly sure how I got this, where I got the eyes and the lashes and the skirt and the hair and all those little bits and parts. I remember doing it a long time ago, I just don't remember how. But the way that I did it now, where I would just export just the breast part, it works too. So, if you're not using Blender to rig hair, or not rig hair, to make hair in, this is an option. So I hope that covers everything. I know this is 30 minutes long. It just hit 30 minutes, but a lot of information, a lot of tips and tricks, a lot of my own personal opinions and my own um, ways of doing stuff. So I hope it helps. If you have any questions, leave them below, or you can IM me and ask me, or leave me a plurk message or something, and I will reply as soon as I can. So thanks for watching. Bye.